Today, we are diving deep into a battle that's being fought right now inside the minds of students everywhere. Seriously, it's a fight for their focus, their memory, and even their well-being. And it's all happening against the backdrop of this thing called the AI-driven attention economy. So let's break down how this battle's playing out and what it really means for the future of learning.
You know, you have to hear this quote. Way back in 1971, long before anyone had a smartphone, an economist named Herbert Simon basically saw the future. He said, a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. He knew that all this information wasn't free. It costs us something incredibly valuable, our attention. And that one single idea, it's the key to understanding everything we're talking about today.
So, let's start by mapping out the battlefield itself. To really get a handle on the problem, we first have to understand the system that created it. And that brings us to our first section, where we're going to uncover the engine driving this whole conflict, the AI-powered attention economy.
So what exactly is the attention economy? Well, it's a business model where you are not the customer. Your attention, that's the product being sold. Companies use powerful AI to collect just massive amounts of data about what you do, what you like, what you hate, all to build this detailed digital version of you. And then, that profile gets sold to advertisers, who are all in a bidding war to capture a tiny slice of your very, very limited focus.
According to Tristan Harris, a guy who used to be a design ethicist right inside Google, the whole system is driven by three incredibly simple goals. First, engagement. Their job is to keep you scrolling no matter what. Second, growth. Make sure you keep coming back. And hey, bring your friends with you. And third, advertising. Turn every single second of that time you spend into cash. It's a really powerful and, let's be honest, a highly effective loop.
And if you want to understand just how intense this fight for your time is, just listen to this quote from the CEO of Netflix. He said, their competitors include Snapchat, YouTube, and sleep. Let that sink in. When one of your main business competitors is the basic human need for rest, that tells you everything you need to know about this economy. Any moment you aren't looking at a screen is just lost revenue to them.
Okay, so we understand the system. We see the battlefield. But what is this constant war for our attention actually doing to the developing brains of students? Well, as we dig into our second section, the evidence is pointing to some pretty significant and kind of scary changes.
First up, and this is the most obvious one, is the impact on attention itself. Think about it. That endless stream of pings, dings, and notifications trains our brains for something called attentional switching, basically jumping from one thing to the next to the next. This makes that deep, sustained focus you need for real learning almost impossible. It gets replaced by this shallow media multitasking, where you feel like you're doing a bunch of things at once, but you're not really doing any of them very well. Next, there's this really fascinating effect on our memory. Because every fact in the world is just a quick search away, students are getting really, really good at what's called cognitive offloading. Their brains are learning to prioritize remembering where to find a piece of information, like on Google or Wikipedia, instead of remembering the information itself. And the problem with that is it can stop knowledge from ever really getting locked into our long-term memory, where it can connect with all the other things we know.
But maybe the most alarming change is happening in our social brains. Researchers have started calling the internet a supernormal stimulus. Think of it like social junk food. It's an exaggerated artificial version of connection, likes, shares, comments, that our brains are just naturally drawn to. It's faster and easier than messy, real-world human interactions. And because of that, it starts to outcompete actual face-to-face time, which is absolutely essential for building social skills, especially when you're a teenager. Okay, so all of this, it brings us to a huge and honestly, a very fiery debate that's happening right now. Is all this brain rewiring causing a full-blown mental health crisis for an entire generation? Let's take a look at the arguments.
Social psychologist Jonathan Haidt points to data like this as a smoking gun. A 92% increase in anxiety diagnoses for young adults in the US since 2010. And that year, 2010, is really important because it's right around when smartphones and social media went from being a novelty to being everywhere. For Haidt, this is no coincidence. He says it's the direct result of childhood shifting from being play-based to phone-based.
So, here's the bottom line. On one side, you have Jonathan Haidt, and he's arguing that this great rewiring of childhood is the #1 cause of a mental illness epidemic in Gen Z. But on the other side, you have his critics, respected psychologists like Candace Odgers and Lucy Falks, and they say, whoa, not so fast. They argue this is a dangerous oversimplification. They believe that just blaming technology is distracting us from all the other really complex things contributing to the youth mental health crisis.
So, with this huge debate raging, what can we actually do about it? Well, the search for solutions seems to be going in two directions: what we can do as individuals and what we can do as a society. We're going to start with what students can do for themselves, and the key seems to be building resilience from the inside out.
One really powerful tool is a framework from the American Psychological Association. It's all about getting students to ask deep questions about themselves. How do I really think? What actually motivates me? How do I learn best when I'm with other people? It's all about building self-awareness so you can take back some control in this super distracting world.
The big idea here is something called meta-learning. It's basically the skill of learning how you learn, and this is so crucial. As the Center for Curriculum Redesign puts it, in a world where AI can know way more facts than any human, our ability to adapt, to reflect, and to understand ourselves, that becomes our greatest strength. It's our superpower.
But look, individual effort can only get you so far, right? So in our final section, we're going to explore the bigger, system-wide changes people are proposing. And this includes a kind of ironic idea that the solution to our AI-driven problems might just be more AI. Jonathan Haidt, for his part, doesn't pull any punches. He proposes 4 big society-wide rules. 1. More unsupervised play to build real-world skills. 2. No smartphones before you get to high school, so age 14. 3. No social media before you're 16. And 4. Make schools completely phone-free zones. These are bold, collective actions designed to give childhood back to kids. And you know what? These ideas aren't just theoretical. At the start of 2024, the entire country of Australia did exactly that. They put in place a nationwide ban or restriction on phone use in all their public schools. The rest of the world is now watching to see what happens, but it proves that big systemic action is actually possible. Okay, but what about that idea of fighting fire with fire? The concept of an AI learning companion is starting to get a lot of traction. Imagine a personalized AI that works for the student, not for some giant tech company. It could be your tutor, your guide, your learning partner, all designed to empower you, the learner, and help you take back control from those attention-grabbing algorithms. And in the end, everything we've talked about really boils down to one single question. In this massive, noisy, AI-powered world, the platforms are built from the ground up to control your attention for their profit. But with the right awareness and maybe the right tools, we can push back. So the question we want to leave you with is this: who or what is really in control of your learning? It's something to think about.